Hi, I'm Hazel. It's Saturday today, which makes it time to sit down and catch up on the WoW news of the week, what I have been up to, and answer some of your questions. This week, data mining continued for patch 10.2, which is now on the PTR, and tier sets have been data mined. Wowhead has all of them. I wanted to highlight two of them in particular that were my favorites. This is the Priest set. I think that this is gorgeous. I think that it is regal, and I feel like you could really kick someone with those shoes. And then this is the Druid set, and I think that one of the reasons why I love this one so much is because in real life it's getting colder as fall comes here, and this set looks very warm. Cozy, in a Druid way. Other things in the 10.2 pipeline, there was a quality of life adjustment that is on the PTR that I am very excited about. In patch 10.2, you can now change talent points that are like prerequisites for lower talents without unspecking everything underneath it. So, for example, maybe it's a Mythic Plus like a Afflicted Weak and you want to swap around to get a Dispel, or maybe you wanted a CC for Incorporeal. And then you move the point and then all of a sudden your entire bottom of the tree, you need to click on each talent that you had before to get them all back. That is no longer a thing in 10.2. It will now leave those put so you can make adjustments higher up in the tree without having to redo the whole thing. Thank you to everybody behind that. I appreciate you. And then the other thing going on in the PTR this week is raid testing has started. We have now, after the first week of raid testing, seen half of the Amirdrassil bosses that we are going to see before it comes out. It's a 9-boss raid, and we've seen 4 so far, but they're not testing for rack publicly. That one's going to be a surprise for whenever it launches. That was a really roundabout way to say that I've seen 4 bosses now, and so far I think they're very cool. I am in testing getting footage to use in a fresh set of raid guides. I am planning another one of those. And what else can we say about the new raid? The mechanics seem fun without needing an awful lot of manual assignment. There was a cool example in the most recent fight we tested where you needed to split the raid and have half the raid soak and half the raid not soak. And in this fight, the half of the raid that's not actively soaking has a mechanic where they need to like get out of there. So it kind of assigns for you so that you don't need to use like weak words or voice for that kind of thing. It makes it not an easier fight, but certainly an easier to communicate fight. I think it's probably really hard to design fights that are still challenging while not like requiring these computational weak words that they're not allowing anymore. And so far, it looks like they're hitting a pretty good balance. I'm happy with it. But I'm also happy with basically everything, so take my happiness with a grain of salt. It comes pretty easy. And those are my 10.2 highlights for the week. We covered it pretty good last week. In my life this week, I am now 26 on 2 different characters in hardcore. Both are alive. I've got the Warlock and the Hunter. In theory, I can rotate them to optimize rested, and in practice, I'm probably just going to play one until it starts to feel like really scary, and then I'll chicken out and go to the lower level one. And then in real life, Kitty Cat's doing good. Mr. Moose is doing good. And at the 6-week, roughly, mark of having had a puppy, wow, that went very quickly, I am starting to piece back together my schedule, if not so much my home. He is hard teething right now. His molars are coming in and they're driving him nuts. So I've had to rescue a great deal of objects from the moose zone that were just like too tempting for him while I like continue to trade him out for his actual chew toys. And then questions for this week. Kenna Skill wants to know, if you were a Blizzard dev, how would you reduce button bloat for some classes? First of all, if I was a Blizzard dev, heaven help everybody. I am not a good armchair game dev. I don't think I have it in me. I don't think, though, if I was going to take a stab at it, I don't think that pruning is the answer. We tried that in Warlords, and it famously didn't go down very well. And I don't think that combining multiple different buttons into less buttons that are all more wordy and complicated is the answer either. I like being able to understand what a button does fairly easily when you just kind of glance through the tooltip. I don't want to have to like sit and think too long to figure out what's going to happen when I press it. I like the idea of more passive talents that load your damage into fewer buttons. So basically just speccing out of active buttons. And our talent trees to some extent already do this. I don't think that the lower button spec should be the highest performing spec, but I like the idea of them giving basically every class a single sort of streamlined spec that can get to like 90 or even 85% of the throughput, but with like far fewer buttons. I think it would be super nice to have for alts that you're just getting into when you're not kind of ready for all of those buttons yet. And also just nice for anybody that is, you know, not really feeling like the min-max game, but still wants to raid and enjoy time with their family and friends. I think that's more than enough throughput to get through the content. And then you still have that extra like ceiling on top for people that really want to min-max and want to play with all the buttons. Because a lot of that utility flexibility is fun, and a lot of players, one player might say a class is bloated, and the other player is having a ton of fun with all of those buttons. So it's kind of a subjective thing. I know in the past they have tried some of those, like, quote-unquote easier, but, like, underperforming, but you know what I mean, some of those sort of more simplified specs. And I remember there being pushback from the community about people getting, like, bullied for choosing to play them. And I wonder if we're not in a different landscape nowadays in modern year. I wonder, maybe I'm just too isolated in my happy bubble of nice people, but I wonder if that would still be an issue or if people are more just kind of worried about doing their own thing. And then James wants to know, what are your top 3 expectations for WoW news during BlizzCon? So, 3 things. 1, I would like to see them announce the final patch of Dragonflight in the final season, whatever that may be. I am assuming that it's going to be another, like, victory lap style season 4, like we did with Shadowlands, where we kind of rotate through all of the raids. I thought Fated Raids was great. I'd be happy to see that again. Fresh new dungeon pool, that kind of thing. I don't really have any wish list details for what they should do with the last patch, but I'm expecting them to announce it at BlizzCon. And then number 2, the next expansion. I would love to see at least a concept level expansion announcement for whatever's coming next after Dragonflight at BlizzCon. I think that they could certainly not do that and then just kind of announce it later on their own channels, but they would be missing out on a big opportunity, especially when this is the first BlizzCon back after so long. So I want an expansion announcement. And thirdly, I would like for that expansion announcement to include another try at a player housing style feature. I wouldn't necessarily say that one's an expectation. It's more just something that I want. But I know a lot of people also want it. So if they want to make some friends at BlizzCon, that would be a good one to have on their PowerPoint. And then that's been the week. Thank you very much for watching. If you have questions for a news video, please leave them in the comments of the most recent one and include the word question to help me find it. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.